Hello everyone, I'm Anuradha Sant, your webinar host for today. Welcome to this first ever webinar hosted by the Coaches for You community, which is formed with volunteers of the ICF India coaching community, which we are all a proud part of. Since this is our first offering and it's a soft launch of our webinars, we're super excited today. This webinar presentation will be for 30 minutes, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. The topic for today's webinar is mindfulness, and to take us through this is our experienced coach Abirambika Ravivarman. She is based out of Chennai. Abirambika is a life and executive coach. She is also a motivational speaker and facilitator. She is the founder and CEO of Green Minds, an organization which works with different segments of people from children to corporates on social, emotional, and mental wellness. She has done many transformational programs in corporates too. She has a passion for mindfulness and has been practicing it for many years. She is also currently pursuing Buddhist studies to enhance her knowledge on this topic. So, without further ado, I would like to hand this over to Abhirambika.
Nice introduction. Welcome everybody. So happy to see all of you with us today. And like she said, mindfulness as a concept is pretty simple, and we will see what it is and how we can apply it. So I've been in the corporate. I've come from the corporate background with a lot of busy mind and all of it. But slowly through mindfulness, I have been able to make a shift in my whole coaching career and my life itself. So let me start. Yeah. Okay. So this is what typically when I say mindfulness, this image is what you will find across in the internet, and this is what we, or generally mindfulness represents. So is it mindful of things, or a mindful which enables us to see what we want to see or what we are actually seeing without really clouding our mind with many other thoughts and many other things. Okay. At any point in time you have any doubts, please use the chat to keep posting. Now, there is this question that, there are a lot of things I've put on this slide. Just take few seconds to read through it. Have you ever felt any of these, few of this, or some of it? Just think about it and start putting it on the chat. Any of it, some of it, or none of it? All of it? Okay. Broken things, all of it. Many of it. It's all of it and many of it, right? So these are things that we keep doing without even realizing that we actually do this. And especially if you see points like snack without being aware, I'm sure sitting at home many of us would be doing that too. At least if not other things, we would be doing that. Okay, so this is the question that is for you. Where is your awareness during this time, and what can happen due to lack of awareness? We all do this because we're not aware, right? We just land up doing those. So where is your awareness during this time? What would be your answer? Preoccupied, maybe? Yes. In the past, multitasking, great. Undone things, future, other things. Something more important, okay.
When to past was another comment, maybe in the
Went
future.
fast. Yeah.
Present forgotten.
Okay.
Undone things seem right.
Right. Okay, so thank you so much for your responses, right? This is really interesting because we really go on autopilot. So this word autopilot is what is the key word here, because we're so used to doing certain things, we're so used to doing it in a certain way, we generally tend to go on that mode, and then our awareness kinds of goes into some other thoughts, and our mind is really keeping ourselves very busy. That's why it's also called the monkey mind. Okay, so we will see how mindfulness can help us, because when we say past, or all of this that you guys have said, what can happen during lack of awareness is really we will not be able to put our full focus in that activity that we're doing, whatever may be the activity. So how do we really keep ourselves in the present moment, and how we can be conscious and aware is what mindfulness is all about. Lovely. So creating awareness using mindfulness. And what does you know uh, really happen is we jump, right? So right now, all of you are in this webinar right now with me here, but what are some thoughts which are coming up in your mind? Other than the webinar, there must have been something which comes up. So what are some things that's coming up for you right now?
You could write it
What
in
did
the.
okay.
I guess in current times we are all doing the housework, so a
Yeah,
lot of planning in terms of what next.
absolutely. Dishes, what to do after the webinar, beautiful. So though we are here, we really want to be here. Okay, so I learned mindfulness. Okay, great. So we are sometimes, while we are doing something, you can see instantly our mind is shifting into other activities which we have, our to-do list. What is next activity we want to do? Anything like that, right? So mindfulness, if you have to really understand what it is paying attention and being in the moment, being in the now, not in the yesterday or the tomorrow. So when we say this, it doesn't mean we won't have goals, we not just come as it take as it comes. It's not like that. It's more of how do I be present for the moment that I am holding with me right now and what I'm doing. A great example for this would be, when we get up in the morning, we want to drink a coffee or something, right? We always something hot, something we want to drink as soon as we get up. That's the first thought. And then once we start making the coffee and start drinking it, our mind is already jumping to the next activity. We really don't enjoy the coffee. uh, and then say the next activity is getting into a to-do list for the day or doing something like that. Again, when we are doing that, our mind is already in the next activity of what is for breakfast, what will I do. So it keeps jumping. So how can I enjoy what I'm doing, and how can I do it in a way with more consciousness is what we are going to try and do today. Okay, great. So thoughts are not facts. So every time we jump is because there is a thought which comes into our mind, and these thoughts, like gets into becomes our words, and then that's what becomes our action and habits and character, and basically that is who we become. So mindfulness is about how do we handle the thoughts? How do I really become aware that this particular thought is coming in my mind? And say situations like now when we are all at home, we don't know what's going to happen, we don't know whether this is going to extend, not extend. So what kind of thoughts we will all be going through in our mind could become the way, yeah, reduce the mind, exactly. So that is the way we will probably get into that mode and keep falling into the pattern of this chatter and not being able to really focus on what we want to do. So I'm going to give you one small practice now. Okay. The first thing is, all of you are probably sitting in your home spaces and all of it. You will probably be sitting in the same desk you've been sitting from morning or for the past 10 days. Now, just take a moment, okay, look around you and find out 5 new things that you have not noticed till now. Probably not noticed from morning or whatever. Just notice 5 things. Quietly, just notice. And if you have been able to notice something, just say yes or no.
You could write it in the chat box, please.
Okay, able to notice. Great.
Somebody said bookshelves with books.
Yeah. Cobweb on the
Up on the
ceiling.
ceiling.
Okay, exactly. Authors of the books. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So we have all of this around us, right? My loft is open. Okay. So we have this around us, but because we are preoccupied, we are busy with what we're doing, sometimes we tend to miss what is around us, and it happens with our senses. So if you see the picture that I've put here, these are the senses which actually distracts our mind, because that is what is giving in to your thought. When I see something, I immediately go into that, and then there is an experience about it, then I go into that, and then, or something is supposed to be done, then I go into that, and then mind just doesn't stop. So it's like in this click, there can be even 10 thoughts which can come into our mind. Great. But when you were trying to notice, was your mind with you or was it again busy? If it is with you, say an yes. You were not distracted with any other thought. With me. Great. Okay. So this is how we can use our senses itself to become mindful, because senses, uh, okay, not with me. Okay, great. So most of the times when we try and keep our minds, when we give an instruction to our mind like this, and then we are trying to notice what's happening around us, the mind is most of the times, in fact 99% of the times, with you, and then you are able to keep it or anchor it in a space that you want to be. Okay, so now I'll give you one more activity. Okay, just close your eyes, or close your eyes, and then try to hear four distinct sounds around you. Just very quietly try to notice four sounds. You are able to find some sounds, four sounds? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Sound of fan, sound weave, great. Words, yes. Thank you so much. So this, again, when we were doing this, we will notice that our mind was not, going into any other thought, but it was there with us because we wanted it to be consciously looking at or finding these sounds. So uh, what happens is, using these senses, like we can use our nose to uh, you know again try and focus and catch hold of some smell. It could be our own smell, our perfume, or coffee smell, it could be anything. So the same senses that are distracting us and actually keeping our mind busy can be, over a period of time, through practice, be brought to where you want it to be. And by doing it, what happens is you start being mindful in everything. So when I initially started, I used to be this person who can't sit in one place. I'm um, a very, I wouldn't say disturbed, but a person who can't be focused in something for a long period of time. But the moment I started practicing this, I realized that my focus and attention has really increased, and I am able to really think deeper into everything that I'm doing, not just my coaching. I'm able to actually pay more attention to cooking, to whatever I do, to my exercise, to anything. I'm able to pay that extra attention, which is what, over a period of time, our mind itself will start uh, you know taking the capability. Great. So I'm just moving on. Just to quickly tell you what mindfulness is not. It's not about thinking nothing, right? Usually, when they say when you meditate, people get confused with mindfulness and meditation. Meditation could be used as a mindfulness practice. The difference is, there is nothing called thoughtlessness, right? The mind is always with some thoughts. All mindfulness talks about is just becoming aware that I am getting this thought. This is coming in my mind, and then acknowledging it and then moving forward is what mindfulness is all about. And then it is also not about just being happy all the time, right? um, it's about understanding the happiness which is within us, which is always there. Like if you look at a child, the child is always happy. Whether the child falls down, he cries for some time, but it's back to where it has to be. So it is about bringing a non-judgmental awareness, and then just enjoying every minute as it comes, right? And then it is a religious practice. So when we say religious practice, it is a mental training. It is very scientific, because you're just like how you just experienced. If you practice your mind, you know where you want to keep your mind. So it is a very, very religious mental training which we can do, and scientifically proven practice which helps in really increasing our level of our mind as well. and then it is living in the present. So of course, we will think about the future, we will set our goals, but a good and a metaphor, something which I can say here is, the moment we have a goal, if you look at it as a mountain, and then say the goal is on top of the mountain, and then if you have to climb the mountain, you can't keep looking on top and climbing. You have to look at every step that you're keeping. Is my step, if you look up and then put your leg on a stone or inside a hole, you'll end up falling. So mindfulness helps in setting goals mindfully again, but being in the moment and enjoying that every step that you're taking. So that is what we say when we say, don't think of the present. I mean, don't think of the past or the future. Be in the present. So this doubt a lot of people have. So are you saying we can never take experiences from the past? Not really. Take it, but again, with awareness is what this is all about. Okay. So it's like a three-step process. If I have to really break it down and then say how we can practice it, is first is knowing your mind. What are some things that are triggering us, and what are some thoughts that we are getting, and then training your mind to accept things without judgments, and then making this purposeful pauses during the day, and then ability to let go of things wherever you need to be able to let go. So that is when we start freeing the mind. So in Buddhist studies, they say happiness and suffering, right? They use these two words. So when they say happiness, it is what we inherently have within us, and when we say suffering, it is about what other people say, and if I have to take it too much into my heart and I'm not able to let go of it, the suffering that I go through. So that is how letting go comes. And then the moment we start practicing mindfulness, it becomes slightly more easier to handle our emotions, to let go of worry, let go of anger, and then really start enjoying life the way we're supposed to be really enjoying it as well. Okay, so how can we practice? Now that we know what mindfulness is all about, how can we practice? So there are two ways to practice this again. So there is a formal practice which we can do, which is the couch, sitting in, it's called the cushion, meditation, where you sit down, you close your eyes, and then we do the meditation. There is also a lot of informal practices, whichever suits you. You could just choose that, because not everybody will be able to sit every day, just on by themselves and doing it. There are ways that you can do. We will see both. So when we talk about formal practice, it's about say 5 to 10 minutes of breath meditation every day. So focusing on the breath. So we usually say, between the lip and the nose, focus on this part, because whenever you close your eyes and try to breathe, obviously there are going to be lots of thoughts, but slowly bring the attention back to your breathing. And then they say, when you inhale, notice this cold air that's coming into you, and then when you exhale, notice that hot air coming out of your body. So you can bring it, bring your attention back. And so it is called the self-regulation of attention. So there is no thoughtlessness. Understand, okay, this thought is coming in my head, acknowledge the thought, and then slowly bring it back to where you want the mind to be. So bringing it back to breath. Okay. If we can try this, I would like everybody to take just a minute to try this on your own. Just close your eyes, just focus on your breath, acknowledge if at all there is any thought which is coming in your mind, and slowly redirect it to your breath and start noticing this hot and cold air. Just try it out, maybe for a minute.
Abirambika, would you like to guide people through this exercise?
Now, I have a guided meditation. This is something
right.
I just want them to try. Yeah.
Sure. All right.
If you've tried, how easy or difficult was it? Was good.
You could mention that on the chat box, whatever you felt.
Not so difficult, not so easy, quite easy, good, fairly easy. Okay, great. Focusing is the key, absolutely. Yeah, mind goes here and there, great.
Sleepy.
We will. If we didn't sleep, then we are pros, First time, if at all we're trying and we are feeling sleepy, then we are normal.
Sunita says she does meditation, so it's easy
It's
for
easy,
her.
yeah. For the ones who practice, absolutely. Sleepy too. Great. Thank you, Shri. So that's the point of the formal practice, because it needs to be really focusing on what we are doing, and we really it is not, some people who practice it probably finds it easy, for some it might be difficult, but over a period of time this is a great practice, so you could try this. So for the ones who found it difficult, or for the ones who you know uh, you could choose an informal way of doing it as well, which is what we are going to see. Now, these are some informal practices of mindfulness. Mindful eating. So whenever we eat, just focusing on the food, looking at the food, tasting it, not watching any TV or not watching phone, not reading. Usually now we are so used to watching the TV and eating or doing some other activity, or that's the time when we use it as family time to talk. But just think about it. Our ancestors never did that. They were healthy only because their focus while they were eating was completely on the food, and nothing else, right? So they will only see the food. In fact, my grandmother always says, don't lift your head when you're eating, just look down, because the moment you lift your head you have your senses to distract you. So keep it down, just look at the food and eat, is what she used to say. And at least for the last 2 years with my son, every day dinner time has been a mindful eating dinner time, and we've seen great ways of connecting to food itself. So that is something that you could try. Mindful walking, again, all of us are sitting at home, not just now, but even otherwise, more of sitting kind of job. So walking consciously, and every time you keep a space saying walk between here to the kitchen or to the washroom, or if you're in office, walk from here to that cabin or wherever. Just choose the space that you want to use it as a mindful walking. Look at your steps, bring your attention to your step, and the mind wanders again the same way we just tried. Bring it back to your walking. And mindful breathing, again, the same thing. The hot and cold, you could try that. Mindful listening is how you can try and listen to something very consciously. So say put on some music that you like, or put on some mantras, or whatever comes up, whatever you choose, but try to listen to the words, try to listen to the music, whatever usually you don't, try and listen to that. There are some people who listen to the lyrics, there are some people who listen to the music. Try to do the opposite. Try to bring your focus to what you're listening. That is again a mindful listening practice. Mindful breaks are something which is really helpful. Just a 1 minute quick, close your eyes wherever you are, take a mindful break to bring your attention again back to what you are doing. Mindful appreciation is about appreciating yourself for doing a great job, appreciating people around you, being, have the feeling of gratitude. All of that is mindful appreciation. Mindful focus is every activity that is distracting for you, anything which is little bit on the side of struggle, consciously bringing focus, telling your mind already that this is where I'm going to focus today. So it could be cooking, it could be anything, any day. Choose an activity and then try to bring your focus, just like how you tried initially with the senses. So these are some informal practices. Other than this, there are a million other way of being mindful, by taking bath, just noticing the water, uh, drinking water mindfully, because usually we are used to drinking cut, right? We can sip the water, drink it slowly. That is also a way of practicing mindfulness. So a lot of ways you can read up. Again, on the internet, there's millions of resources available. So these are two ways of really practicing mindfulness, as a formal way and as an informal way. So, how does it impact, or what are some benefits if you see the stress in our life? Usually, our reaction is fight, flight, or freeze. Usually, that is how it is instinctive for us. We and animals are no different, because the instincts in that way are very common for both of us. But when we are mindful, we are always here. So, this is how we start reacting. When we are without being mindful, we start reacting to every situation. But when we are mindful and are able to give the pause, we always respond to situations. So a huge difference in the way you will start looking at things will come up your way once you start practicing mindfulness, consciously practicing it every day. So how this can help? So there is this stop is something which you just to remember the word easily. Stop, take few breaths, observe what's happening to you physically, emotionally, and mentally, and then proceed intentionally to the next one. So this is an acronym which you can keep in your mind to keep telling yourself stop at every junction. So this can help you in taking those mindful pauses during the day, and to enable you to stay like this, stay and be able to pause and start responding to things. So that's what I call as lightfulness also. So here is something that I call it as the competency. So how can we apply this, and how does it help? What are some benefits of doing it? Is if you look at these two triangles, one is the inner self, which is the yellow one, and the other one is the blue, which is our outer self, right? Our inner self is what goes on within us, and the outer self is something what we show to other people. So if we are mindful, see, that's the starting point. If you see, the awareness is on the top. Once we start practicing mindfulness, what happens is our awareness becomes huge. We know why we do what you do. That big question gets answered, and then we connect it to the intuition. Our intuition is strengthened. So today, if I get 5 clients, and if I intuitively feel I don't want to work with one client for whatever reason, somewhere it comes up in myself deep inside, I will choose to not work irrespective of whatever the money comes from there, because I know it might not last, or it is not going to be sustainable for me at a later time. So that's why intuition strengthening happens when we start becoming aware. And if you see on this side, inherent happiness, it's not just normal happiness, it's inherent happiness, which is what we are all born with, the joy inside, which means whether I have this or I don't have this, it is not dependent on that. It is just dependent on just me as a being, that I am there, and because I exist, I do these activities, and then I'm just happy doing whatever comes up my way. So this triangle gets strengthened. So the awareness, intuition, and inherent happiness. So what are some implications? What can it give us? If you see, between awareness and intuition, there is mindful actions, which means all the actions that I do are becoming more mindful. So I will be able to take better actions. I will know why I'm doing what I'm doing again. And if you look at between intuition and inherent happiness, because I'm going with my intuition and I'm sticking to this happiness, my mindset is going to be more positive than ever. I will not be perturbed with anything which comes, any setback. I will become more resilient, and the mindset is going to be more positive. And inherent happiness to awareness is gratitude. Whatever happens to us, there will be the sense of gratitude deep inside, that it is happening to me. So let me thank that, irrespective of good or bad. We are not going to be judgmental there. We will start being more compassionate and more lead a life with gratitude. So the starting point to all this, which we can gain, is awareness, and that stems from mindfulness as a concept. So how can we apply to our current context? If I'm aware and then I go by my intuition, I'm going to be doing mindful actions, which means I'm not going to be disturbed by Purana, whatever which comes up. Similarly, my fear and worry will come down to a great extent. I'm going to have a positive mindset to look forward to what is up for us, after this. And gratitude again, gratitude that we are getting to spend our time at home. We are able to listen to sessions like this, or we are able to do sessions like this. Gratitude comes in from there. So that is how probably we can start applying this model in our daily lives as well. Okay, so I have this small practice which is there available in YouTube. So you could do it here now, and you could pick it up from YouTube and then do it if it suits you, if it is helping. This is a guided meditation, and it has two parts to it. One is the visualization, so we use the power of our mind. The second one is we are putting in a lot of affirmations, which means my autopilot is kind of reduced, and I'm able to consciously start becoming that, what I want to be. So I will just start this. You can close your eyes and then quietly just listen to it and just keep repeating whatever is there just in your mind.
Everyday mindfulness practice for self-time. Start with home chanting.
No sound.
And relax yourself.
Okay, so Anu, everybody's saying no sound, but then for are you also not able to listen?
No,
No, I can.
Abirambika, no, audio is not there, Abirambika.
Not there at all. Okay.
No.
So then what I'm just going to do is give this YouTube link to you. So maybe just after we close this, you can all listen, because when we tested it out, we were able to listen to the audio.
Yeah,
It doesn't,
I can hear it, Abirambika. So
you can hear. So I don't
I
know why.
can.
Okay, because we had this. Fine, no issues at all. So this is, I'll just share it on the chat right now. And then just after we complete this session, you can probably just listen to it if that's okay with everybody. Can hear you, but not the video. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just put it here. You can just try using computer science. It is my computer sound. Okay. So that's the link. So you can click on it and it will open up for all of you. So it's there on YouTube. Um, I think some technical this thing, because Anu is able to hear. I don't know, maybe the host can hear, or I don't know why the others are not able to hear. Are opening? Oh, oh. Okay, let me just check.
Everyday mindfulness practice for self-time.
Try this.
Start with Om chanting.
Now the audio is coming.
Oh, now it's coming. Okay, I'll then directly
Yeah.
play from YouTube. Okay, great. I'm just gonna play here. Thank you.
Mm.
I think the audio has stopped.
Again, the audio stopped. Okay. So I guess it wants you to listen to it later. So let's just go with that.
So I think Abhirambika, yeah, you've already sent the link. You can maybe
Yeah,
share it one more time.
right.
And I think also in the interest of time, we have about 9 minutes. So if there are any questions, queries, any observations, comments, please free to write them on the chat box. And Abhirambika is here to help you answer these questions or respond to your comments.
Yeah, so I've put the link again. So it's a 10-minute one. So for while this one can help you, uh, as a guided meditation. So it's really soothing. You can fix a time during the day to just listen to it and follow through it. It has a lot of affirmations, so that's how it is very helpful. And just picked up the link from here, and then let us know how you like it later as well. And any questions you have, since we've almost come to the end of it, any questions, any doubts, or anything you could ask me.
So, Abhirambika, if I would, I had, when I was speaking about this topic to someone, there was this very curious question in terms of we hear a lot of people talking about mindfulness.
Right.
We also talk about a lot of people saying about consciousness. And then there is this other thought around mindlessness. So where you are so free in your mind that the mind is so empty that you could absolutely focus on anything that the person in front of you is saying or doing. So what do you say? Do you think there's a connect between consciousness to mindfulness to mindlessness?
Okay, so consciousness to mindfulness, yes, absolutely. So through mindfulness as a practice, we are bringing consciousness, right? We are conscious at every level. So we have the conscious mind, and then we have the subconscious mind. So usually, if you look at it like a computer, right, it is like the RAM and the storage system. So every time the RAM picks up something, and then it goes stored in the subconscious. So when we are saying what is getting picked up is where my awareness is. So if I want to pick up the right things, for example, if I see, say I watch a movie and I know it is a movie, but then I still cry there because there is a very emotional scene, right? That is momentary, but how much of it am I really taking deep inside and starting to feel, oh, tomorrow something like this can happen to me? The thoughts can just jump. So that is where mindfulness and consciousness comes in place. Mindlessness, I would say, can we even be mindless? It's humanly impossible to be mindless, because normally we get 60,000 thoughts a day, and this is a scientifically proven number. So there is no way we can be mindless. Mind is there, and that is why we are all humans. It is just that how can I manage my mind? How do I handle it?
Okay, thank you. So we have a few questions.
Yeah.
What's the difference between awareness and focus?
Okay, so focus is again a practice where we are not multitasking. So if you look at the multitasking as a word and a concept is huge, right? We all call ourselves multitaskers, but it's in a very scientific way. It's not happens. It doesn't really happen at all. Mind, focus is doing one thing at a time, and then awareness is being aware of what are some thoughts that I'm getting. So these are slightly different in that way, but the more we practice mindfulness, we start enhancing our awareness and focus. So that's how it is probably different.
So there's an interesting question from Puneet,
Yeah.
who says, given families are locked down within 4 to 5 members, with 4 to 5 members in two bedroom
BHK.
homes, what are the most effective exercises?
Okay, so as families, you could do a lot of exercise together. So we have exercises like mindful eating, maybe. So that could be as a family what you can do together. And there are some fun activities also, like mindful coloring, doing some centangles as a family. You could do those also together. And just sitting, the first one that we tried, if you find some time to sit alone, you could do that. This particular one, this YouTube one which we have shared, it's a 10-minute one. You can just put on your headphones, sit down and try that as well. So to answer that, Puneet, you could do anything which suits you.
Sure, thanks.
So there's a comment from Reshma. She said consciousness and mindfulness is not connected. We all vibrate from certain consciousness. Mindfulness is being the moment with all our senses, being in the moment, maybe, I guess.
Being in the moment, absolutely. So the more mindful we are, consciousness is, we tend to be aware of what's going on in our head. So it's that way, helpful.
There's another question. I don't get the name. It says Galaxy A10, but
Okay.
What organizations can do better to encourage mindfulness? Nikita, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Nikita. What organizations can do is, so we work with few organizations in inculcating mindfulness as a practice. So what we do is we do sessions like this. We do practices which we give them, which they can use. We also try and set up a mindfulness corner. So when we say mindfulness corner, we put different activities in that corner. So when people just want to take a break, it's like people take a smoke break, they take a tea break, and then there is a mindful break that we try and inculcate. So they could just come sit down in the corner and do something which can enhance them. So that is something that organizations we have also been doing. But it's a conscious practice. It's like getting the whole organization into that mode is where it has to be driven at a senior level, but definitely doable.
So if I could intervene, so as we're coming to a close, I have a small poll for all of you to respond to. It'll not take you more than a few seconds. So I'm going to launch the poll now, and as you think of other questions and Abirambika thinks of the answers, I would like you to answer this poll, please.
Okay, so while you're putting the poll, I'm just reading the next question. Would you say working with good focus is equal to mindfulness? Working with good focus is step one into mindfulness. Like the senses one that we did, it's the first step, because bringing our focus is when we will start noticing our thoughts. It's like the first step is what I would say. Okay, why do even HR do not practice and preach mindfulness? A great question, Nikita, I guess, right? I don't have an answer for that, but because I'm anyway not part of any HR, but it's not very people are not very sure of how it can help, Nikita. That's what I would say, because in an organization, if you look at organizations today like Google, if you take many of these big names that we know do a very conscious practice of mindfulness in their organization. So they are able to see the benefit, they are able to drive it. But we and if I have to be proud and say, these are things that has all gone from India. It's like yoga gone from here, when goes around and comes back, and then we become, oh okay, we do it. So this is also become like that, but this is what we've always done. In, like I said, in the example of eating, our parents or our grandparents were always eating mindfully. It is only probably the previous generation or now which is going slightly off. So how can HR not practice and preach? Is just by showing it, by practicing it. Probably that's what I would say.
I just want to say one thing before we go.
Sure.
While we are practicing mindfulness, and we also spoke about consciousness, there's a serious practice that happened just now. Anu had put the poll, and you kept talking. My God, what a real-time example of how we had to be conscious and mindful of both, not wanting to miss both of them.
Absolutely. So,
real-time practice.
Good. I know. Thank you. So it is like, do I listen to her or do I just fill this out? And I'm sure you're just and that multitasking now you would have realized would have been very difficult to do actually.
True. So I'm sure I missed some of what you said because I want to be true to the poll.
Okay.
And so that's why I said it's a real-time example of how we want to be mindful about one thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, to everybody who's on the call, and if you know of people who have not been able to log in today and would have benefited from this webinar, we would be shortly launching our website, and we will try and put this recording on the website as well. So you may be able to listen to this later as well.
Yeah, and we are also for people who've joined here, and if you think you want to practice this, so from 14th of April I'm also doing a 10-day everyday kind of practice. You could join in and join us in that, and then it's like a challenge. So 10 days you're going to try and see if you can actually practice mindfulness. So if you are interested, then Anu will share the WhatsApp link of that here as well. How different their employees from other organizations. Okay. So Nikita, whenever we are mindful, we are able to take better decisions, understand what the other person is saying with our full presence, which means obviously whatever we are going to be doing in terms of our actions are going to be more effective to that sense. So that is how they will probably be different. Abroad, in fact, in US, the schools have started using mindfulness as a way of teaching the kids, even when they do something wrong. Now there is no punishments. Let's give them a 2-minute or a 3-minute or a 5-minute mindfulness break. So the kids go out, sit down, and that's what I do with my son. Every time there is something, I tell him, okay, now it's time to go and sit down and think. So that is how it is helping everybody. I'm sure the same thing with organizations too.
So what Abirambika mentioned, so I'm just putting the link to the mindfulness exercise or challenge that she's talking about. And if anybody is interested, you could feel free. Either you could get in touch with me or you could let her know and you could join this challenge.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm not able to put it in the
Okay, I'll just put it.
box.
Okay, I'm just putting it. So that's the link to the WhatsApp. You can just click on it and join. There are some more questions I'm seeing in situations, mindfulness of social distancing, washing hands. Do you think few people may become overly
And I'm
cautious?
also mindful of the fact that we have
Time.
just crossed our time. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to stay back for a couple of minutes and have any important question for Abirambika to answer, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, thank you so much for your participation, and thank you so much, Abirambika, for presenting our first ever webinar by this group. I really appreciate your time and effort. And
Thank you, Anu. Thank you so much.
thank you everyone for being here. And thank you so much for also putting in your comments and your questions and also answering the poll. So with that,
Yeah.
Abhi, thank you very much. In half an hour, such an intense topic can be delivered with so much ease. Thank you. That's a great learning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
so thank you so much. And with that, we would end this webinar today. And we look forward to many more such webinars from us. And we'd like you to kind of continue to keep engaged with us and look out for us. We have a lot of stuff coming in next week, and from lots of, not only from webinars and offerings for the community, but we also have a lot of stuff coming in for our coaches. So stay tuned, and lots more coming your way.
Yeah, thank you all for participating, being such a lovely group, answering so many of the questions. I appreciate it, and I'm happy, we did this together today.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.